Shinboners, the team that plays to win for you and me.
Welcome back, Shinboners. We are finally back for season 2 for us. We've hoping to avoid some second year blues, but to help me get through it and to provide plenty of analysis today, we've got the Big Chief as usual. Welcome, Chieftain.
Thanks, Baz. Happy New Year. And 2025, the year the Roos rise.
I like it. We had one flag last year on our debut season.
2 flags, the VFLW.
Yeah,
counts as
sorry. But, we'll be going one better this year, we hope. But in all seriousness, on today's pod, we will be previewing the 3 players each. We'll pick 3 each who are set to explode and have a huge 2025, and also 3 each who are under the most pressure.
Under the pump.
Yeah, big time. But to any new listeners, welcome. And to our loyal listeners, welcome back. Here's just a little taste of what you can expect in 2025. Of course, we'll be doing our preview and review pods, including the Basti, which is definitely
The most prestigious award in all of the AFL.
that's the one that everyone wants to win. I mean, Sheasel's got his Sid Barker there. Should have an All-Australian jacket, but really what he wants is the Basti, and that's what he won last year. Can he do it again? We'll wait and
Can
see.
he back it up, back to back?
Of course, we're bringing back one of the most popular segments, the watch list, which is what you don't want to be on.
No, that's for players who are underperforming against expectations.
We'll have my favourite segment back with the listener Q&A, so you can send your questions in after, hopefully, lots of wins.
Yeah, that's my favourite segment too. I like interacting with the listeners.
We'll have the Shinboner series, which we've been doing with getting some ex-players and current players on, so we'll be looking to continue that.
Yes.
What else have we got, Chief?
We've got one of my favourites, Media Street, where we listen to a fair bit of football media, particularly more if we're winning, to be fair. But if they slip up, we'll hold them to account.
Just on that,
mainly take the piss out of them.
Yeah, once it gets to about round 16 and we're 2-14, my weekly watching of AFL media goes dramatically down. So hopefully that doesn't happen again.
No, we're rising this year. I've already predicted it.
We've got Grind My Gears coming back, which is something that has peed us off during the week and that we bring up that needs to be addressed.
Yes, and we've got the CCC. No doubt I'll talk about that endlessly, and you've got a bit of FOMO, didn't you? So you got your swagger men.
It is the fastest rising group in all of the world.
Is it
Baz's
trending up? Is it?
Ever since double sleeve big bench press PCs come, he's just added a bit of extra.
He's one of my favourites
To the group.
They'd be my favourite in your little swagger men PC.
Oh, poor Eddie. Poor Cam. But anyway.
If you're going to have a favourite, it's PC.
And of course, plenty of waffle to go along.
Which we're sort of getting into now.
Yes.
That's normally the end of the pod.
So, obviously the boys are back at training.
Yes.
We saw last year there was about half the group were ready to go to the Olympics because they were training the house down. Haven't heard a whole lot, but one we have heard about, Luke Urquhart.
Yes.
Who we're big on this pod.
Yeah. That's good. Reports say he's going very well.
And another one, Caleb Daniel as well. Apparently he's just taken the PI55 off halfback with... it's been a big question mark in our ability to rebound off halfback is the precision and the laser-like use, and that is something that it appears he is absolutely nailing at the moment.
Yeah, Colby gave it last year, but then when he went out injured for that time, we sorely missed him.
Yeah.
And he was averaging well into the 30s on possession and going at a very good rate of retaining the ball. And I don't think he got his dues from the grade.
We're going to get there. He might feature in today's pod, but that's just a little spoiler for a bit later on. But it's that time of year. Everyone's training the house down. Look forward to the club putting some good content out in the next month or so, because after being away, I really missed out on the footy content, and it's slowly creeping back. It's under 2 months till opening round.
Yes.
Gee, I can't wait for footy to be back.
Well, yeah, that's why he brought this debut pod of 2025 forward.
Well, we were going to wait till late Jan, early Feb, but I just need my footy fix.
Yeah,
so
you just want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly right. Right, let's get straight in to the 3 players that we've both chosen who are under the most pressure. So we'll do one at a time. You lead off with your first choice.
All right, I've got Disco Stevens. And the reason being, is he in the best 23? Well, we're doing that in another pod, aren't we? But he's probably not in mine. And, previously high draft pick, top 10, and a long deal. And didn't set the world alight last year. So I think he's really under the pump.
And he had a lot of chances last year and was not able to not nail it down. He sort of was gifted that other wing to Bailey Scott. And quite often we saw in games last year, which was really frustrating, in the first 10 minutes he'd have 6 disposals and then you'd look at the end of the game and he'd finished on 8.
Yeah, he'd have one. Well, his best efforts were he'd only have one really good quarter. And probably his best game we discussed last year was against Melbourne, where he only actually played one quarter because he was a sub. He came on at 3/4 time and had about 15 in the last.
And he's in that age bracket now of 23, 24 that he really needs to be solidifying himself as that top 10 pick and solidifying himself in the 23 as well. So
yeah, and the wing was there for him, but now, is Colby going to go to a wing? Is Foss going to get a start on a wing? Are they going to move Jai to a wing? I mean, he, like you said, he had his chances, 8 or 10 games, and he just couldn't grab it.
Yeah.
And I reckon Clarko's going to start with someone else.
I think he will too. The first one I want to bring up, and I don't like doing this because I don't like bashing him, but Luke McDonald is the number one player I've got under the most pressure in 2025. I mean, those halfbacks are emerging. We've brought in Caleb Daniel. We've got the likes of Josh Goder to come back. Does Finn O'Sullivan go to halfback? We don't know where Colby's going to play. He's obviously been training a little bit in the mid, but whether they play him off there. And he's also 29. We haven't seen his best footy the last couple of years. I really like the leadership and the 1%ers he brings, but I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure to retain his position next year. And I would be surprised if he's handed the captaincy again this year.
Yeah, Hardiman's another one who can play his role. There's big raps on him coming out of pre-season training, and yeah, we like what we saw of him last year, a little glimpse. And Hardiman's another one pushing for that spot. So yeah, Luke, he's probably fighting for that last spot.
He absolutely is, and I hope he does well.
So do I. He's one of my favourites.
He bleeds blue and white, but he just hasn't been, since that COVID year when he won the Sid Barker, he just hasn't been able to replicate it, whether that's through form or injury. So hope he gets a good run at it and he's able to press his claims for the best 22 because he's a great leader, and we are still a very inexperienced side, even with the players we've brought in through the off-season. Right, number 2 for you.
I've got Darling, who's come in. I think he'll be handed first crack at second tall, and we haven't got a lot of depth in that position, but we need him to fire straight away. Otherwise, it's just not going to be good, is it? If he's gifted games, like say Dill Stevens was last year, we can probably say, I think that won't be good for us as a team. We need him to come in and contribute. And I'm not saying he can't, but it's under the pump. Or we're watching to hope that he can do what we want him to do.
Yeah, and there's no expectations going in of him to kick 50 goals. He's there to take the pressure off Larky and provide an option. But in saying that, to play devil's advocate, he did get dropped a few times from West Coast, and they were just as bad as us last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why he's under the pump, I suppose, or under pressure to fulfil it. And he's on a 2-year contract, 3 if he hits triggers. So we want him. We don't want to look silly with that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. My second option is Zach Fisher. Really, really big year for him. Obviously, he was brought over after some good form in the back half of 2023 with Carlton. Wasn't able to light it up last year. Had some good moments, had some bad moments, particularly with kick-ins. With the addition of Hardiman coming through, Goda coming back, Caleb Daniel in, I can't see him in the 23 at the present time. And another one, much like Disco Stevens, who was brought over on a long tenure. I think he had a 4 or 5 year deal. So, do you try and reinvent him as a small forward like he played before? Do you try him on a wing potentially? The big knock on him last year was he was too undersized in the contest and was found out a lot. And his ball use wasn't quite as great as we were hoping. So, a big year for him, and there'll be lots of eyes on Fisher.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we can have Fisher and Daniel in the same backline. Although I don't mind having 2 users in the backline, but I don't think we can have that lack of height in the backline together. Does Fish go to... Can he play a wing? I think he's had quarters there more when he was with Carlton, maybe. Or small forward, I think he might have to transition back to his old role, which he did play at Carlton. So again, looking at the best 23, without giving too much away, he's on the borderline.
Don't give up...
Back on the borderline.
Midnight Oil reference. Don't give away too many secrets, because that's our next pod.
I know. So I see he's on the borderline.
Oh boy.
You want me to say he's a lock?
No. Go to your third option.
Okay, my third is CCJ. Now, he's another one who got a long-term contract and has never lived up to what we paid for him or his contract. Unfortunately, he's starting behind the blocks, isn't he? Because he's got his injury last year and he's still not back in full training. I think he was on the bike at training.
It's the longest... I don't know. Well, there must be a lot of setbacks because he's miles behind Goda.
Yeah, I think he did have. I think got infected or something. He did have setbacks.
Poor bugger.
Yeah, so it's a big year for him when he finally gets his body right and can get back on the track, because out of contract at the end of this year, and yeah, I don't think we're lining up to re-sign him at this stage.
No, I think he's going to have a lot go right to earn another contract.
Yeah, so a big year, but there's still, who's he up against in that role? Probably Tess.
Tess Teakle.
Tess Teakle.
Toby Pink, if they persist with him as a forward. I mean, Darling.
Obviously, Darling now we've got in to play that role, and he was the one previously under the pump.
Great Finbar.
Finbar, and probably young Whitlock. Although I think he'll start as a back, but he's a swing man.
Yeah.
And when I'm going to call for it.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, well, you say it.
You want Chom forward.
Yes, thank you. So if that does, all bets are off. We don't need any of them.
Yeah. Don't need Silv either.
We still need Silv. He can be the decoy for Chom.
I completely agree. My final one, and this hurts me to say as well because I love this kid. Will Phillips.
Pod favourite.
Pod favourite. He's on a 1-year deal. He's just going further and further down the pecking order in terms of mids. Looks really fit. We hope he can...
he looks more... He's more than fit. His muscles have got muscles. He's ripped. No skin folds.
No, it reminds me of what Charlie Lazaro came back as last
pre-season. He looked very fit.
And he got a good run at the start of the season. So I'm not sure whether Wilfield will... obviously, Finn O'Sullivan coming in. Luke Parker will be added to the midfield rotations as well. A fit and firing Jai as well. It's just I really hope for him, but the same draft as Powell, and Powell's miles ahead of him at the present time. So really hoping that he can have a massive year because we love him. He epitomises what it is to be a Shinboner. We've all fell in love with him that game against Adelaide where he grabbed the jumper, and I really hope he has a great year and can find his way, whether that's back to being a tagger like we saw at certain times last year, or as that inside contested mid where in 2023 we saw a stretch of about 6 weeks there where he was getting in the high 20 disposals to go along with 10 tackles, and you sort of thought he'd turn the corner, but he's going to have to do a lot right to find a consistent spot in 2025.
Yes, well, I wanted him to put in my list of set to explode.
Oh,
because I think he can, but I can't. Another one is back on the borderline of the best 23. So it's hard to explode if you can't get a gig.
Yeah, that's the big thing for him.
So that's what kept him off that list for me. Is that I can't see him being all available in the best 23 at the moment. But he's going to have to go back to the twos or start in the twos and dominate there, and then get his opportunity when injury or lack of form by someone else gets him a spot.
I think he's got the potential. Absolutely, the potential's there. I don't know whether he's going to get the chance to show it. I just can't see him in the best 23 if everyone's fit.
No, and
that hurts me.
We do have a lot of midfielders, and I've got a suspicion that Clarko is going to go for a high midfield rotation type game plan, which may get him in. Like lots of midfielders and then rotate on field in the half forward or half back role.
That hurts Will because I don't think he can play those other positions anywhere near as good as the rest of the mid group. Can he be a small coming forward? Maybe. I don't think he's too small to go off half back, particularly with Daniel down there. And if if we play
He's
Fisher as
taller,
well.
taller than Daniel. Yeah, okay, we're not getting into best 23s. But, I just a sneaking suspicion he might... Because I did rank them, the midfielder, which I'll get to next week because I left my book at work where I did it. Not that I did it at work. It's on my lunch break.
Oh, dear. You've been exposed if you're listening.
It was on my lunch break.
I like it. Just some others that we had, just more general ones. Obviously, you've identified that the small forwards are under pressure.
Yes, because I don't have a standout. And then if Clarko, maybe he'll decide to play an extra midfielder and obviously rotate in the small forward. And you obviously cap to 80 rotations off the interchange. Well, rotate on ground. I don't know.
Just talking about that.
There's no standout small forward, is there, in our team? We've been crying out since LT retired for a classy small forward.
Well, we had Kane.
Yeah, classy small forward. Kane was a trier.
I love Kane, but let's. I just want to talk
You
about.
brought him up every 3 pods last year, and I had to clip you off here about it.
If there was ever an ex-player I could get on the pod, I'd love to have Kane on.
Yeah, Kane is good. Trier.
Just talking about your midfield rotations, I want to see, or at least try it, with what Port do well is thou who shall not be named. When he goes to full forward, he's explosive and really dangerous. Could we see that with LDU?
Yes.
Or potentially George Wardlaw as well.
Yes.
That's what I'd like to see.
Well, I was going to talk about George playing more forward because in his scouting, in his under 18s, it said he can go forward.
Well, the big problem...
Obviously, he's a gun midfielder, but he could also play forward.
The problem with our forward line is the lack of forward pressure. He'll bring it.
Oh, Georgie boy will.
He will bring it. And then the last one to touch on, who you've got in the bit of a hot seat, not quite at the level of some others, but Clarko.
Well, you've skipped one. We'll go Clarko first. All right, let's just go to the game plan. Yeah, Clarko in his at the SID in his speech said it's up to the coaches now to find a game plan that suits this group he's got. And as we all know, we've got lots of midfielders and quality midfielders, even though they are young. I think that's where we just spoke about, the higher midfield rotations and maybe playing midfielders forward and having them rest a little bit forward. Could be what he's doing, but yeah, it's time. I think the recruiters have got him enough talent, and although they're only young, 19, 20, it's time for Clarko to see if he's still got the magic.
I like it a lot. And the last one you want to touch on?
Well, I just spoke about the midfielders, and every pod in the preview, pretty much, we said our midfield should dominate, or should beat theirs, if not dominate. And too often it didn't occur. So I think the midfielders as a whole are under the pump to start beating their opposition consistently.
They've got the best ruckman in the league feeding it to them. So.
Exactly.
Right.
And not just feeding and clearing it.
Yeah.
It was the top 10 in clearances, and if they happen to get it, look out, bang, he's got them.
All right, let's bring the mood up a little bit. Let's talk about the 3 players we've both chosen who are set to explode. And I'm starting. And I am so bullish on this, it's not funny. This is my hot take. Well, it's not even a hot take. This is my take it to the bank.
Whoa.
Colby McKercher is going to have a ginormous 2025. I'm talking the same levels of Harry Sheasel's second year. I think you're exactly right. You touched on it earlier. He, for some reason, didn't get a whole lot of limelight or love in the media. He had a fantastic year. So many games off half-back. You talked about his high disposal efficiency, and that's not even taking into consideration the game-changing kicks he was having, kicking at it, changing angles into the corridor, laser-like. He was just fantastic. I think we'll see him spend a little bit of time in the midfield in this game plan that you're talking about, which I think they will implement, as well as some time on the wing. I think he can have a year like an Errol Goulden. He's got that use. He's a lot quicker than Errol.
Yep.
I just can see him delivering inside 50 and the scores going way up.
Yep.
It's been an issue, some of the ball use going inside 50 for the last, 10, 15 years, basically, outside of Boomer and probably Daniel Wells. I can just see his laser-like use. I think he's going to have a huge year. He's as fit as a fiddle. He's been training the house down, as all players do
As
this
they
time
all
of
do.
year.
Yep.
But he took out the first 1K or 2K back.
Yep.
I just think he's primed to have a huge year. And I know that saying it could be a second season like Harry Sheasel's easy, but
Well, it's easy to say.
well,
it's not easy to do because you've got to be elite.
But I think he can do it.
Yeah,
I think he's so
I agree.
good.
And we both submitted our 3 plays to explode, and I had him number 1 as well. But
Yeah.
you pinched him.
I said no way because I've been talking about it for the last
You
6
have.
months.
Yeah, so I totally agree with everything you said. Mine is CCC, George Wardlaw. I think he is set to explode. And he's already been good, like Kirch, Sonic. But I think he'll go to another level. And especially with his mentor there, Luke Parker. And I can see them, for instance, with this rotate forward, just rotating between each other at half forward. He and Parker.
I would love to. Unfortunately, where we live, we can't. But imagine the battles those two would have at training.
Yeah, you go along just for that.
Because I've always been a massive Luke Parker fan. Just love the way he goes about it. And
looking from afar.
yeah, it's going to be good to have both of those balls in the same team and make sure we've got one of them at every set of clearance to get the nose in the trough.
Yes, so I think George can really step up.
So I think he needs to clean up his ball use a bit and go from that 17 to 18 to mid-20s.
Yeah, he might say lower because it's going to be hard to get in that midfield, but just impact. He's probably more of your low possession, high impact midfielder. If he ever gets to 30, look out.
Yeah, and his best games last year, he was hitting the scoreboard as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and as I said before, his scouring reports from his under-18s was he could go forward and take a mark, and as you said, he'll bring the pressure forward. He'll chase and chase and chase until he drops. So, and if he grabs you, bang, CCC. No one gets through the CCC tackles.
No, that is very true. Right, my number 2. This could cause some chaos online because he's cops a lot from North fans, this bloke, but I'm bullish of the year he can have. My number 2, set to explode in 2025, Cam Zurhaar.
Yes.
I think he's going to kick 40-plus goals this year. He's not going to have to play second key forward and play on 195-centimetre blokes like he usually has. He'll get lower and lower down the best defenders. I think PC is going to have an enormous year as well, which will allow him to get an even worse defender on him. With Sheasel and LDU and Colby McKercher, who I mentioned before, delivering it to an inside 50, they're going to be able to hit up those targets. He's a strong... They don't call him the bull for nothing. And I think he's going to have a massive year. I think he's been given some poor delivery, not a lot of delivery, and also playing on a much larger opponent. So I think he can have a really big year, and I expect him to.
Yeah, low quality delivery and low quantity, and I think both will rise. It'll be more quantity and a lot better quality.
And he's an X-factor player, and for years the big knock on him's been his consistency, but my response to that will be, yes, he has been frustrating with his consistency, but when you're getting beaten by 90 points every week, playing in a forward line, getting 35 inside 50s, it is hard to impact, although Larky has done that. But I just think a big year for the Zoo, and I think he should kick 40 plus.
Right. Well, let's hope that's true.
That's my big take, and this will probably get clipped up by the people who aren't such big Cam Zurhaar fans and played back to me at the end of the year if he doesn't. But I'm just backing him in. I think he's at that 26 year ready to explode.
Yeah, well, Cam looked after you last year, got your carton off Tex. I think it's still in the mail, the carton. But that was, for those who didn't listen, that was a bet between Tex back Dusty, being a Richmond man, to kick more goals than Cam. Cam covered him easy.
Yeah, and then Dusty was so flat about it, he decided just to give up.
I'm not playing anymore. Not playing. No, not even going to the Gold Coast. No. Anyway, mine is another forward. Didn't have a lot of opportunity last year, but I think he can explode as a high-end draft pick. Is Big Game Zane.
Yeah, I saw this and it did raise my eyebrows a little bit.
I think he's got all the talent, and we just covered better entries, better quality entries, and I think he'll come good year 2. It'll be the opposite of the second year Blues. He'll come good second year.
Yeah, he really needs to build on his tank, and we've seen the X factor he has, his leaping ability, similar to Jared Wade. He just levitates,
and he's got that goal knack, hasn't he? He's got, we saw a couple of loose ball goals he got last year. He went in the midfield in the VFL. I know it's a lower standard, and got high possessions and still kicked goals. So. I think forward to centre, he's gonna be good, and he's 190, so another high, mid-sized hybrid forward. He plays taller because of his leap. He can get it on the lead. He can get it on the ground. I think he could have a really good second year.
Well, all I can think of when I think of him was his player comparison was Tobias.
He'd love that.
And he's got that bit of shit in him too, I think. I mean, like, he wouldn't mind telling someone if he's kicked a couple on him how good he is.
I reckon. Yeah.
But,
we've got to be winning before we start mouthing.
The one for Zane is, it's going to be hard to keep a spot as that sort of third, fourth tall.
Yeah.
That's why my man Elvis is going to find it really hard to break in.
Yes. Another one back on the borderline.
Yes, we'll get to that next pod. But right, anything else on Zane before I'm
No, that'll do.
My third player set to explode is Finn O'Sullivan. I think he can replicate, and it's such a high standard to say, that what Sheasel and McKercher did in that first year. I'd love to see Clarko put him on the halfback flank and just continue that easing him in, get behind the ball. He's a good user.
He's a good mark.
He's a good mark. He's about 6 foot, so he's got the size isn't a worry.
No, he's got a good leap. That's why he's a good mark, and obviously a good clunk of it, one grabber, and he can step through traffic, which is handy off half back. You can get round that first tackle and then use it.
Yeah, and it's worked. I mean, we saw it with Sheasel. I mean, you could have put him anywhere. You'd put him in the ruck and he would have dominated. He's that good. And then we saw they followed the same plan with Colby last year. He exploded, didn't get enough limelight, which I'm still filthy about and probably bring up 100 times this year. But
yep.
And then I'd just love to see Foss slot in there, at least early, because the one that everyone has penciled in to start off the halfback flank line in their best 23 is probably Josh Goda. And he won't be ready till realistically probably round 6.
No.
He'd have to get a good block in the VFL. So even if they just play him there to start, he did play a lot on the wing. So if he goes to the wing, I'm sure he'll dominate there as well. But I just think he's another one of these 18-year-olds that can come in and impact straight away. And just on Zane, I think people were way too harsh on him last year because he wasn't coming in playing off half-back. He was playing half forward in a very dysfunctional forward line and competed quite well.
Even in a functional forward line, half forward's the hard position to play because you're not normally targeted as the key to kick to. You've got to work,
Well, we saw last year.
You don't get a hit up as much as the others.
Even if players were open, they'd just bomb it long to Larky anyway.
Yeah, but I like Zane's, back to him quickly, is a couple of times he was the release kick out of the back line. He did quite well.
Mm. Yeah, so my third player is Finn O'Sullivan, and looking forward to see what he can bring.
Yes, bit of low-hanging fruit there from you. He was a number 2 pick. But anyway, no, I agree. And my last one is co-captain Simpkin. I think we saw him play at least 2 absolutely outstanding games last year. And I think he can go up a lot higher and replicate those type of games more often.
I really like this. Really like this pick.
It's a lot of people are saying, is he going to play half forward or wing, but there are others saying he's going to go more in the midfield back to his familiar role, and I like that. Another senior body in there. We know he's got the jai step. He can work in tight and get it to the outside. So yeah, I think he'll have a big year and bounce back. I
still think it's not taken enough consideration about his broken hand and then his horrific concussion in the pre-season last year. I mean, it clearly impacted him. I'd really like the club to give him the sole captaincy this year.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's a great leader. He sets the standards on the track, and I think he's very much a follow me. Like he will put his head over it. He's tough for a smaller frame as well. So that's what I'd like to see. There's lots of talks about Sheasel, and we can talk about this on a different pod. But I think sole captaincy for Jai this year for mine. Yeah, and he at his best, he's just really, really good player. So probably the only knock we've ever had on him is his kicking can be a bit loose when not under pressure. But I think last year he fixed that up a little bit, didn't he? He had some really good kicks. He did. I can't remember any real howlers that he had. I think he had 1 or 2, but he also was getting to use it a bit better playing off half forward. He wasn't in that sort of contest as much where he had quick rush kick out. He got to have a bit more time. So yep. So I'm looking for Jai to bounce back, get back to his Sid best, and really
really improve on last year. Although, having said that, he did play 3 or 4 really high-quality games.
Well, he won us the game against West Coast.
Yes.
And round 24, it was only he and X that had trotted off the barley just about. Everyone else was poor that day.
Yeah, I bush stuck it for 3 quarters.
Yeah,
It was
that's
really
true.
good.
That's true.
And, anyway, keep going.
Just a couple other players. Obviously, it's hard for us. We haven't been to training, but the reports on Riley Hardiman are huge. And
Yep.
he's a left footer, so he's already halfway in the door for Clarko. Caleb Daniel as well. I've spoken about him a little bit.
Yeah.
And the push-up, the bench press. Sorry, not the push-up. The bench press, big PC.
Yeah, PC. He had a breakout year last year, but, can he get to the 40 goals? Imagine if he and Cam both got around 40.
I've heard on the grapevine that just his inclusion into Baz's swagger, man, he's already got an extra couple of plates on the bench.
Oh,
He's really enjoying his work.
Yes. Is he going to wear the sleeves game day?
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, I don't know about that either.
Don't know about that. But, just speaking quickly on Baz's swagger, man, we've just got a close eye on Luke Urquhart.
No.
Keeping an eye on him. So
Yes.
just so get in there a bit early before you try and steal him.
Yeah, they've got to really earn their spot in the CCC.
They do. Right, let's talk a little bit about our listeners. So we appreciate you all. Find whatever outlet you can on social media under this pod and comment who do you think is under the most pressure heading into 2025, and also who do you think is going to explode, and give us a clip if you don't agree. So there'll be 15 comments all about me and Cam. So
Yeah.
feel free.
That's all right.
That's what we can take a little bit
Yeah,
of
it's a community. We want full engagement, and we'll mention them next week.
Yeah, just quickly want to touch on the AFLW while we're away. A great signing, picking up a high quality player.
Yes, Elise Sharon from Richmond, runner-up best and fairest. 2 years in a row there, was it?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
And
Yeah.
probably would have won him if they didn't have one of the best players in the comp.
Yes, and she only lost by a vote to Mon Conti, for those who don't follow it closely. And, hey, we're still premiers. Still premiers, baby. And just getting better.
Now, I want to hear more about this because for those who didn't tune into our premiership episode, which was a bit loose, you called that we're winning the next 8 flags.
No, 9.
9?
Yeah, and I capped it at 9. You don't want to get ahead of yourself.
Get ahead.
But I think 9. Well, most of look at our young up-and-coming players are all like 20, 21, 22. So that puts them into their early 30s. So, yeah, they'll have 9 premierships by then.
I reckon.
That'll have to be some sort of world record.
Yeah, Carney will still be playing off half-back.
Yeah, she hasn't slowed down or lost anything. Look at her grand final. First half, she was best on half-time for mine.
Oh, yeah, easily. And breaking more ankles than Aiden Core.
Yes, and more 1-2s than Boomer.
Yeah. Speaking of Aiden Core, we put up our little short, only 7 seconds, but people loving it.
Most one of my favourite moments of the year because it came from nowhere. Out of my way, Bo. Bang!
And what frustrated me about the video is you could only talk for how long the video went, because I want to talk about how old Bo went into the first row and then popped up, grabbed an $8 hot dog and a $15 beer, and then came back down while Big Corey was running away with the pill. But one of the moments of the year, and how good was that?
Yes, and we've got one more to drop, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got one more we're going to bring on. Right, let's get in.
And hang on, we haven't finished with the AFLW Premiership girls. They signed 2 other players, Ruckman or Key, and drafted, and they drafted a centre half forward type.
Yeah, which
I really like, because I think that's in our 9-peat we probably have to replace a centre half forward somewhere after 5 or 6. So should have had a few years to develop, and a longer season this year too. So it just gives us that coverage.
Yeah.
Our depth is going to be awesome. And, looking forward to another premiership come November.
Yeah, so the girls listening, no pressure, you've just got to win the next 8.
Yes.
Right, let's get into some waffle.
Yeah.
Before we get to grind my gears, I've got just one thing for waffle today.
Right.
So I'll set the scene. It was the 27th of December.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it was Christmas Day.
So-
I got my days mixed up. I was in Canada,
Yes,
Christmas Day.
You need to tell the listeners that you spent Christmas in Canada.
I did.
With your in-laws.
With my in-laws, and everyone's huddled round. It's a cold day out, and I've turned on the cricket for the Boxing Day test, and not many Canadians follow cricket too hard. But there's a 24/7 channel, so I've popped it on. Thought it's a tradition. I've got to watch the Boxing Day test. It was about 4 p.m. the first session started.
Nice.
And the next 2 hours...
It's about time to crack a froth.
Oh, that was the couple had by then. And what I proceeded to see was outrageous. I can't remember seeing a debut like that with Sam Constas. Just Jasper. Yeah, you've gone average at about 6 runs per bloody spell.
Yep.
And I'll just put you over the fence with a reverse ramp. It was outrageous.
Yes.
And really showed a lot to be in Baz's swagger, man, with the lip curl as well.
The Elvis lip curl. I actually called that before the commentators got onto that. I thought because he was like talking to himself when he came in. The lip curled up. I loved it. And he played and missed about 8 times, and then thought, stuff there. So let's go some reverse ramps. He missed the first 2 of them, and then he just. He must have been the most talked about bloke in Australia, I reckon, and India, because they all love the cricket over there.
Yeah, they all hated him because he was
100 billion of them watching him reverse ramp the goat, Boomerang.
Yeah, and then he had some words with that bloody god over there, Virat.
Yes,
tried to shoulder charge him. He said, "Piss off, dickhead."
Yeah, and we were sort of discussing: is he in the CCC for showing a lot of ticker, or in the swagger bin for the outrageous play?
He could be the first ever dual member.
Yes, and Virat, come on, what are you doing? 19-year-old going shoulder charge him now? If Bo Webster debuted in Sydney, who's about 6'10", Tassie boy. From the slug from Snug, they call him. You reckon Virat was thinking about shoulder charging him? He would have only got him up to about his hip.
No, he wasn't brave enough to do it to the big Bo Webster.
No, so Virat, come on.
But that's going to lead perfectly into my grind my gears.
Okay.
Right? So I've only brought one, and you've got about half a page of grind my gears there. But mine is a pretty simple one. Obviously, there's no footy on, so we can't have it footy related unless Kane says something stupid, which he hasn't yet. But the cricket, right? Fox Cricket.
Yep.
No ad breaks. Brilliant. Can they start investing in the Big Bash properly? I don't watch a lot of Big Bash, but I was watching a game the other day, and Mitch Marsh, you might have seen it, got a golden duck. The commentators didn't know he was out till he was just about at the rope because they're not at the ground. They're commentating off a screen. It's outrageous. They pay all this money to get exclusive rights to the cricket, and they think that was an exclusive game. It wasn't broadcast on 7, and they can't be asked finding 3 blokes. I mean, I own WA. I'll go over there and commentate on there.
Anyone can do it from their computer screen
Exactly.
back in the studio in Sydney or Melbourne. But
Exactly.
how about invest in a bit of local commentary talent over there if they don't want to, pay the flights and accommodation.
And last night, I was watching it again. Steve Smith hit one into the second tier.
Yep.
And Gilly couldn't tell, has it got enough legs on it?
Yeah, it's not good enough.
It's amateur hour.
It is amateur hour.
So turn it up for that, please.
Come on, Fox, pay some money. We're all paying our subscription. At least fly someone to the ground.
Exactly. Right. I'll pass it on to you to finish off.
Okay. Well, this you're in Canada for December and back into the New Year. Did you celebrate New Year's?
I didn't see New Year's
in
Eve.
the air.
I left on the 30th and arrived on the 1st.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you arrived on the 2nd, didn't you?
No, arrived on the 1st.
Oh, okay. Whatever. Anyway, you didn't have New Year's Eve, or
Yes, correct.
yes, that's the one.
Move on, you're butchering it.
Yeah, I know, terrible. Anyway, this is what I grind my gears for you, because I went to the supermarket on Boxing Day. Guess what was for sale?
Oh, no.
Come on, have a guess.
I had this last
I
year.
know,
Dude,
that's
don't
right.
you tell me with a straight face that they're selling bloody hot cross buns on Boxing Day.
They were.
Oh, my
Can't
God.
believe it.
That is
Anyway.
outrageous. Someone needs to really stand up against these Coles or Woolworths operators.
Yeah, this is Woolworths. And sell them, but don't call them hot cross buns. Just call them fruit buns. I mean, don't bring Boxing Day, bring us straight forward to Easter. Anyway, and another one, very similar. New Year's Day. I was watching TV. I don't know what I was watching. And came on back to school.
Oh, no.
Back to school sales. I'll give the kids a chance to have a holiday before it's back to school on January 1. It should be banned. It should be 2 weeks prior to school maximum. Give the kids and the parents just a chance to relax and have a summer holiday before it comes back to school.
Oh, they've got to make. They're all about the money. They don't give it.
Yeah, I know. And it's a free society, and they can advertise when and what they want. But yeah, hot cross buns on Boxing Day, no. And yeah, school returns. Get your school uniform and everything, and books on New Year's Day. No, not on.
No, not having that.
No, it's got to be at least January. 20.
20. Yeah. That's rubbish. Get that out.
Here in Tassie, they don't go back to school to February.
Yeah, good.
I know it's a bit earlier on the mainland, but yeah, not January 1. Come on.
No, not happy. Right, that's about us. We won't go too long because we're just rediscovering a bit of form.
Yeah,
we've had a long layoff.
I've played and missed a few times to use the cricket parlance, but hopefully we'll be informed by the start of the season.
Yeah, we'll work our way through a tough spell here.
Yeah, hitting them well in the nets, Mark Taylor.
Oh, Marnus. That's what he was doing for the first part of the summer. But anyway, that's enough cricket talk and enough waffle.
Yep.
Next pod, we'll be back to drop our best 23s as well as analysing the players coming out of contract in 2025. Obviously, we all know about LDU and we're biting our fingernails till he re-signs. LDU, if you're listening, please put pen to paper.
Yes, come on, LD.
But there's 17 players. So we'll go through each one and give our opinion on where they sit at the present time and what we expect to happen at the end of the year.
And speaking of expectations, we're doing our crystal ball episode at some stage in the pre-season. And we did it last year. And we're asking the listeners if they've got any questions or predictions they'd like us to make. Because we'll do the same. Where we'll finish, who will win the premiership, who will win the wooden spoon, ladder positions.
But we like the exotics, something a bit different.
If you've got something, if they've got any suggestions, what we can predict, and we're getting the frog on for that, and we're putting a title on the line, which you hold currently.
Yes.
I don't know how I lost that, because I was leading easily half time last night.
You had one of the biggest chokes.
I had a Brad Scott type moment, circa, early, mid-2000s and 10s.
2010s.
Yeah, 2010s, exactly. So, yeah, I had a bit of a mare, and so you're the reigning defending.
I am, and the Frog will be on to prove a point because
it'll be a three-way title match.
The Frog, for those who's a fan favourite, people love the Frog, and he will be featuring. You're pissing off during footy season, which I'm not sure about, and he will be featuring a lot on this pod this year. So he'll have a point to prove coming on.
He will. Anyway, so if you've got any questions or any suggestions for our crystal ball predictions, drop them on the usual socials. You'll gather them up and. We'll answer them.
Exactly right. Right, that's enough of us for today. Well, let's ease the people back in.
Yes. All right. Thanks for tuning in again. And calm the kangas.
Thanks, guys. Remember, don't miss next week's where we drop our best 23 and look at all the players uncontracted. Until then, go Roos!
Good old North Melbourne, they're champions, you'll agree. North Melbourne is the team that plays to win for